Hello, Sacha Wise here, and welcome back to my channel. I want to talk about today getting out of situationships with boundaries. Let's talk. So, I'm going to speak from experience because that's the best teacher, I would say. You know, when you have real life experience and things get real. So, situationships. I feel like it's a very the terminology is quite young, but I feel like the situation is more common with young people these days. You know, people have situationships where nothing is defined, nobody knows what's happening, there's no commitment, there's no definition, there's no walls for the house. There might be like a foundation or a roof, but there's no walls. Actually, you can't have a roof without walls, so there's no roof. There's no roof, there's no walls, just maybe some scattered patio, cracked patio. Okay, I'm too extreme. So what I'm trying to say is that situationships are very difficult for some people. Maybe some people are fine with them. Maybe some people, men and women, could flow in situationships and be like, oh, this works well for me, it suits my nature, you know, I'm very fluid, so it works well. I'm speaking regarding somebody like me, somebody who likes definitions, who knows the power of words and likes also to put things in categories. I'm a woman. I don't know if other women are like this, but I personally like to know where I stand. If I don't know where I stand in a situationship, romantic situationship, I become a bit restless, let's say. Restless with my tongue, restless with my emotions, restless in every capacity. Because I'm constantly questioning through the conversation, what are we? What are we? What are we? What are we? But not in direct terminology. I'm questioning it in other ways. You know, I'm constantly trying to find clues to find out what we are, because I don't have a definition for it. And this is how I work as a person. Please comment below if you are also similar. I'm very interested to know if men are similar as well, or if women find that it's a very feminine trait. I would like to know. So, and I find like I'm a bit, what's the right word? I'm like detective. I'm like Sherlock Holmes. I'm like trying to suss you out, trying to figure things out. And that's not necessarily the best energy you want to bring to a person, you know. You don't always want to be a detective. Like, you know I have different sides to myself. And I love chilled out Sacha. Chilled out Sacha is the best. She's so chilled, she's relaxed, she's easygoing. I prefer chilled out Sacha. And chilled out Sacha can only happen when she's comfortable and she knows exactly where she stands and she knows exactly what definitions are upon the boundaries. So here's the beginning of the discussion of boundaries. Boundaries really help people to know where they stand. They really help people to mentally compartmentalize where they are in relation to another person. Some people find it very difficult to put boundaries in place. I am that person. Naturally, I don't like conflict, and naturally, I would rather ignore an issue as long as possible. Sweep it under the rug so that everything seems peaceable. But when you do things like that, there ends up being a bigger problem. Things can only get swept under the rug so many times until there's a massive bump in the rug and you end up tripping over the rug and maybe falling on your face and then crying. You understand? You understand what I'm trying to say here? I'm trying to say situationships. If you are somebody who struggles to put a boundary in, becomes unhealthy for someone who needs boundaries. I'm talking about regarding myself, I need boundaries. So regarding me, I've been in situations where I don't know. I've not put the boundary in place. I'm not the best version of myself. I'm then regretting being so weak as to avoid the problem in the first place. If you put the boundary in place in the first place, you avoid a problem. Do you understand? Like, it's an avoidance of a problem. It's when you choose to ignore that. It's a bit like driving. There are certain lines in the road. You have to stay in your lane. If you stay in your lane within your boundary of what you should be staying in, there shouldn't be an accident, because it's much clearer of what you should be doing, and that's the same principle with boundaries. You need to be clear of what you're doing. So the situation I was in, I decided to reflect upon what I need, and I decided to share what I need. And it wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. In my head, I made it out to be this big thing, and actually it was received very well. Maybe people naturally like boundaries. Maybe people naturally actually prefer to know where they stand. Maybe situationships sometimes, even though they can be convenient for some, and some people probably use it as a way to have as many situationships as possible. I'm sure some people probably do that. But regarding that, I'm talking about normal people who are like, who may also like you, and maybe they also don't want to put a boundary in place either. Maybe their nature doesn't like boundaries, or maybe they struggle putting boundaries in place as well. So there's two people struggling to put boundaries in place, and then clashes are likely to happen, like in that road example. And so I just want to share an encouragement to everyone who's like struggling to put a boundary in place regarding a situationship. Firstly, know what you want out of life. Know your past, what you can handle. Know your present, and know your future of what you want. This is the key to setting a good boundary. I feel like if you know your levels, previously what's happened, your experience, things that's happened that you've not been happy with, relationships that's gone wrong and you don't want it to repeat again, you can definitely look and sit and reflect and be like, okay, yes, this is what's needed to happen now for this not to happen again. And it can be done very calmly with not an ounce of bitterness. It can be just done very logically. And then in present, you need to be able to assess what works and what's not working, what's triggering you off, what's, making you happy. If you can figure out those things in the present, then you can adjust. And then regarding the future, you have to think, what do I want out of the situation? Am I looking for commitment? Am I looking, for something casual? What is the purpose of this person potentially in my life? And you can base the boundary based upon those three things. I feel like many people get into situationships and they're in it now, or even relationships, and they're in it. And once they're in it, they then want to change the dynamic of the relationship. Does that make any sense? So I feel like this is what creates a lot of unhappiness, where people are in something, but they don't like it. The boundary is not where they want it to be placed, and it's making them unhappy. But they're already in the situation, they're already in the relationship, they're already in the marriage, let's say. And it's a problem at that point, because you have to rely upon the other person changing. And actually, it's difficult enough to change yourself, much less trying or attempting or coercing somebody else to change. It's almost not even realistic. I feel like you have to take people at face value and be like, this is where they're at, and this is potentially how they will always be. And if you can have that level of acceptance with someone, I feel like that you're in such a better place. So back to my point. So if you get into a situation where you're now invested, let's say, and then you're trying to change the person, or trying to change the boundary, it just creates a lot of tension that's almost like not needed. I feel like what really needs to happen is this. Everyone needs to know themselves. Everyone needs to get to know themselves really, really well, to know exactly how they work. What is their makeup? What makes them happy? What makes them unhappy, okay? Once you know yourself so well, in the beginning, before anything even begins, You could set out your boundaries very clearly about what you're looking for in a relationship. I don't know, I could be wrong, but I feel like men do this quite well. Again, not all men, I'm interested to hear your opinion, but I feel like men have a sort of internal thing where they're able to do this quite well. Men will lay out what they're looking for in a woman. Maybe because I'm a woman, I'm terrible at putting this boundary in place of what I'm looking for in a man. Often I just listen to the man and be like, oh, that's interesting. Okay, yeah, right, okay, yeah, okay. And then I try to see if I'm that person for them. And I think it's just the wrong way to do things. I think you need to have a mutual level of respect and a mutual level of understanding of each other's boundaries. If you don't have any boundaries, how would somebody know what you're all about? Because you've not told them through what you're willing to accept and what you're not willing to accept. You know, a good example is the Derek Jackson thing. You know, when the wife said to him, you know, if you cheat again, I'm not going to be with you. I'm going to leave you. It's a boundary she put in place, just not a very good one. It wasn't a very good one because the boundary is a bit too slack, in my opinion. What should happen is she should have told him in the beginning, if you cheat on me, it's over. I'm just letting you know, it's over. You know, make the boundary so clear in the beginning. That prevents problems down the road more so. And maybe at that point he'll be like, I'm not going to be with this woman because this woman is taking no rubbish. I'm just saying, like, it can change the dynamic of the relationship. And if they leave because of your boundary is too high, or you know, they feel you're being unreasonable in your boundary, let them go. Because you know what? There'll be someone that will appreciate your boundary. There'll be someone that not only appreciates your boundary, but can make you happy because they can meet that boundary. I think the key here is to let go of that, what we really desire, in order to get the self-respect that we really deserve. I think it's the most important thing, having self-respect. I think having boundaries is showing that you respect yourself. It's showing that I love myself enough that I'm not going to do self-harm to myself by allowing things into my life that I don't want. I have a door. The door can get locked. I own this house. And this house needs to be protected. This house needs to be loved and cherished. And only good things can come into this house, you know? That's my brother. Apologies. So, even the skin itself shows us that we need boundaries. It prevents bad things from coming in and it prevents good things from coming out. So you always want to, you know, nature itself is a perfect metaphor for you having boundaries in your life. You know, if, for example, there's holes in your skin where the boundaries are now penetrated, that means infection. That means pain. That means suffering. That could even mean a loss of a limb. I am being extreme, but in the emotional capacity, you can really hurt when you don't have proper boundaries in place. People can be really, they can exploit your lack of ability to put up a boundary and to, you know, stick to that boundary, you know, because some people are selfish. Some people just only want what they want, and it just is what it is. So as a person, as a woman, as someone that is trying to, you know, date and stuff, you just need to just put the boundary plain and simple and clear. Those who love and respect you will respect the boundary as best as they can. Those who are always trying to knock your boundaries down, who are always trying to break the boundaries against your will, those are the people you want to avoid. That's a warning sign to say, run. Run, because why would you want someone, for example, to break into your house? Would you really want that? I don't think so. That's not respect, is it? If someone broke into your house, even if you knew them, they broke into your house, that is very disrespectful, you know? So we'll put it like that. It's the same thing with boundaries. So, in the same way, by you putting in boundaries in the first place, you're giving somebody respect as well, you know? You're giving them the free will to decide whether or not they want to be with you based upon that boundary. It's a mutual respect thing. It's not a one-way street. So as opposed to being in a relationship with them and then trying to change the rules once you're in the relationship, that almost feels a bit different. It feels uncomfortable. It feels a bit like you are forcing them to be something that they didn't want, or they didn't choose to be. So if instead of doing that, getting to know someone without really revealing your boundaries, and then during the relationship reveal your boundaries, I don't like that way. I would say be really upfront in the beginning. List your boundaries, not in a scary way. It can be done nicely. You know, it doesn't have to be a massive list on the first date. No, it can be done casually and nicely. What do you like in a partner? What do you like in a partner? This is what I'm looking for in a partner. This is a non-compromise rule. This is something that I can, you know, relax upon, you know. It can be done nicely. And so you do this in the beginning, and then there shouldn't be this massive shock at the end. You know, at the end it would be like, okay, well, she didn't tell me this in the beginning. So if I chose to go on the road, you've only got yourself to blame. If I chose to still go, who can that person blame? They can only blame themselves. No, so make it sound horrible, but I think that this is the right way to see if we're compatible. If our boundaries can link, if we can meet on them, then yeah, there's potential, you know. And actually, everyone is happier, because when you actually don't put a boundary in place and you just let things flow, at times you can get resentful. You can feel resentful and be like, this person who doesn't even know what the boundary is, by the way, is not following my boundary. But you've not told them. You've not told them, but you've got to be some sort of psychic to know what you're thinking and to follow the things that you've not even said. No. And it comes to knowing yourself, and it comes to putting the boundary in place, and it comes to following through on the boundary. And this is good. Like, even children will show you. Children love boundaries. They love boundaries. You know, they may resist them or test them, but if you have a child that has no boundaries in the home of discipline, the child will be like chaos. You know, the child is actually quite unhappy when the child doesn't know where they stand. And it's a similar process with relationships. People are unhappy when they don't know where they stand. Unless somebody wants to keep you in confusion, that's a different story altogether. Some people want to keep you in confusion because it's easier for them. But I'm not talking about those people. Those people, you can dismiss those people by setting the boundary, and if they don't like it and they continually test you, then you can drop them. Simple as, you know. Also, once you're in relationships, you can choose to shift the boundary if you choose. For example, if somebody continually hurts you and they're continuous with it, you can put that boundary a bit higher. So they can't hurt you as much, and maybe a bit higher. And if they continually hurt you, the point will come where the relationship will be no more. You know, that's in an ideal world, because you continue to put the boundary higher until they can't see you. And if they are showing respect and consistency and loyalty and these different traits, so if you're looking for that, which most people are, and so you can lower the boundary, be like, okay, this is working. Okay, I would trust them a bit more maybe. We'll let them in a bit more. You know, not on some things. Some things are rigid boundaries. But other boundaries, you can bring them down a little bit and be like, okay, this is going in the right direction, you know. So I feel like it's also good to be fluid, you know. You do have to assess the boundaries in the present, you know. Is this working for me right now? What happened and how does that affect my boundaries, you know? That's okay to do that. I also think that if somebody chooses to walk away, or you are scared that someone's going to walk away if you put a boundary in, please, I encourage you, love yourself more than anyone else, you know? Not in a horrible way, in a way of like, I need to protect myself. I am also important. I am also someone that's worthy of love and worthy of being cherished and worthy of respect. So I need to respect myself. So in that sense, I really want you to be very strong and know that if someone looks at you as an option, and an option that if it takes too much effort, they're going to just leave it on the table, you need to just leave them. These are the people you don't want in your life. You want people in your life that will see you like with your name with 2 exclamation marks next to it. Like, this person is not an option. They are everything. You know, they are someone that I need in my life. I want in my life. Maybe not need, but want. I desire them in my life because they add to my life. They bring something to the table. They're helping in some way, even in a way that I can't help myself. They are bringing it to the table because it's a partnership. Not everyone has to have the same gifts. Not everyone has to have the same purpose. But if we bring everything to the table, maybe that'll make a lovely meal, you know, together with the different ingredients and different, you know, nice, good recipes in the kitchen. Just saying. I don't know what I'm saying. But what I'm trying to say, people who have been abused struggle the most with boundaries. They struggle putting boundaries in place. They struggle respecting boundaries. They struggle with keeping the bad out and keeping the good in. If anything, they keep the bad in and they want to push the good away. And it's sad because it's because they're hurt and because they've trusted before, they've been let down before, they don't know any other way but to try to protect themselves. But sometimes they often push away what is good and they often try to keep in what is bad, you know, and that brings shame, that brings heartache, that brings a level of pressure that is kind of not needed. You know, if you're willing to address it and willing to, you know, change the rules of the game, you know, yeah. Letting go of the bad, allowing the good. It's as simple as that. That's basically the nature of boundaries. This has been fun. I've enjoyed this. And actually, this has helped me, this topic. It's helped me a lot. Because I was annoyed with myself, frustrated with myself, not knowing why. But now this revelation came and I was like, this is it. The fact that I don't have boundaries. This is why I'm so upset with myself with regards to other people. Because I feel a certain way, but I'm not allowed to feel that way because I've not set the boundary in order to feel that way. So now, everything is being set. Sacha is one happy girl. No, regardless of the consequences, regardless of what's going to happen in the future, I'm happy. You know, the fact that I'm able to set a boundary in place. You know, it doesn't matter if someone walks away. I'm actually still happy. This will always be used for me as a lesson learned, just to know how important boundaries are and how much it involves self-love and self-respect. So I hope you find this helpful. If you guys have similar experiences, I do want to hear it. I want to hear if you guys struggle putting boundaries in place like I do, or if you guys are really easy to put boundaries in place. And I want to know what sex you are, because I feel like it is relevant. I don't know. I could be wrong. I think it's relevant, you know. Don't know if it's just a woman just being a bit more agreeable at times. Going, oh, okay, I'm just going to yield. I'm going to yield to whatever that strong man is going to do and say. We can do it sometimes. Sometimes we can be like that. We're like, okay, you say this, okay, I'll just listen. Okay, I love you and leave you for now. Enough chatting. Yes, so please do subscribe, please do like, please do share the video. If you have a friend that needs to hear this message, you need to send it to her. Because trust me, this message is live. This message is needed for many people. So love, light, blessings. God bless everyone and be blessed. Okay, bye.